Run fast, break glass, commit larceny, get caught, and lose custody of the kids. This is Payday 2, a game about stealing anything that isn't bolted down and looking fucking good while doing it. The successor to the much-loved Payday the Heist, Payday 2 Give Me Your Money This Is a Fucking Robbery edition, took the good yet linear and reactive gameplay that was Payday the Heist and just ran with it. They added more open level design, customizable weapons, the option to stealth every mission that makes sense, pre-planning, skill trees, actual stealth systems, perk decks, just like a lot of shit, you know? Allowing for that sweet proactive gameplay fix my brain needs to make the happy juices. Let's touch quickly on the setting before we move on to the meat and potatoes of the game. Payday 2 takes place in a version of America where the police act like Russia during World War II and throw bodies at the problem until it goes away, while also acting like the normal American police force by firing into buildings full of hostages and acting as the personification of the term police brutality. There is a story to the game, but it's almost entirely unimportant and completely batshit insane. You have to go quite out of your way to engage in the story of Payday because it's far from the focus of the game. So, much like the optional reading assignments in English classes, while some people seem to love the plot, me and many others happily choose to pretend it doesn't exist. The actual gameplay takes place during heists, which can be split into two main types: stealth and loud. It's also worth quickly mentioning that almost all of the stealth missions can be played loud, but none of the loud missions can be played stealth. Kinda like how all weeaboos are trash, but trash is just trash. Did you get me? While there are a decent variety of objectives between heists, from rigging an election to an escort mission for a drunk, drug-smuggling Russian Santa Claus, in the vast majority of missions you're going to be trying to steal something. These things include, but are not limited to, bags of cash, gold, guns, artwork, servers, cars, cocaine. Each of the items have different weights, so carrying them can greatly affect your ability to move, with the lighter ones having almost no effect, and the dumpy heavy ones removing your ability to sprint and completely retarding you. Whoa there, Nessie. Get off your high horse and stop typing that comment. I mean it in its scientific use, you intellectually disabled frappuccino. I understand that if you haven't played this game, bag weights seem pretty unimportant as a feature. Most of the difficulty of this game is derived from having to lug these things around unaware guards or through a hellfire of freedom pills. The speed you're moving during these times make a pretty massive impact, and I appreciate that a clear and decent amount of thought went into how much of an effect these bag types have on it. The only thing I think that they got wrong is that carrying a bag of cocaine slows you down slightly, whereas I know from experience that carrying a bag of blow only ever makes you move faster, and normally in the direction of a rave. All of this smashing and grabbing takes place while you're either stealthing to avoid the guards or shooting your way through the most aggressively suicidal and varied police force in the world. From your everyday beat cops who are one day from retirement and probably thinking that they're too old for this shit, to some dudes who played way too much Splinter Cell in high school. Before we get any further, let's talk about character customization, since this seems to have an effect on everything else I want to talk about. The main form of customization is build adjustment. This is done through the skill trees and the perk decks, both of which are unlocked via leveling. Obviously, this is a fucking video game. But while you can only have one perk deck equipped at a time, you can have any combination of skills unlocked from the trees, provided that you can afford them. Even at max level, you have to be careful about balancing what you want and what you need, so at low level, you're always making a sacrifice of some form when building. Since it's incredibly difficult to be funny when something is actually good, let's switch focus to the meta that's formed regarding this build system, eh? You would think with a system like this, there wouldn't be a meta, and everyone would just build to cater their own playstyle. And while this is true in some respects, every build you see used in this game falls into one of two basic categories. Stealth builds, for when you need to sneak in unnoticed, and going loud is not an option. Almost every player's stealth build is near identical, because there is a right and wrong way to build for this. That's just a fact. No armor, smallest guns, and lowest detection rating possible. Loud builds used for when you want to effectively smash in the back door. What? What's so funny? Ow. Grow up. Anyway, if you want to kick in their shit cunts, there's two main accepted ways to build. The dodge build, and the don't you find watching paint dry just thrilling build. With the dodge build, you're taking advantage of the game's dodge mechanic. You wear no armor, and you run around as fast as possible, spitting in the face of death, and praying that your finger doesn't slip off the sprint key lest you lose the favour of RNG Jesus, and end up getting your cheeks clapped faster than an altar boy at Sunday school. However, with the why didn't daddy love me build, you stack as much health and armour together as possible, waddle around at the top speed of an asthmatic penguin, and hide behind cover whenever the armour bar looks a little low, probably wondering why the other kids don't like you. Alright, I might have been a little biased there, but you get the gist. The most complex system in this game, by far, are the stealth mechanics. While there's a lot that goes into making stealth feel good in this game, I'm going to gloss over the main features. Since I'm going to want to discuss the detection meter, I should probably explain how the detection in this game works. You see, the detection in this game isn't based off of your hitbox, it's based off line of sight of your head. This means if a guard or civilian doesn't have a direct line of sight from their head to yours, they literally cannot see you. Same goes for hostages if you've taken, and the meat sacks of those less fortunate. I only realised this when the game makes you clip your head through this bit of the train to hide, and no matter how much of your body is sticking out, they can't see you. Now on the surface this may not seem like the worst way to program detection. Once you realise this is how it works, a bollard becomes as effective a piece of cover as a 10-foot brick wall, and hostages are invisible, provided you spend 10 minutes shoving their head under a fucking cabinet. Don't get me wrong, for a normal player this system works fine. It's far from game breaking and honestly most people probably won't notice. Just that once you do know, it allows for some pretty stupid cheesing. So, you know, you're welcome. Now that we've got that out of the way, we should talk about the detection meter. Since we know it can't be based off how much of you is visible, we can realise the speed of its filling is affected by your distance to the NPC, your detection rating, and your stance. Again, this sounds pretty good, except your movement speed doesn't affect the detection system. So sprinting, jumping, and crouching while in midair only gets you detected at the rate of crouch walking, except you keep most of your running velocity, and after landing, you pick back up to full speed in only a few steps, meaning you can almost indefinitely chain the movement together and fly around the map like a well-dressed spider monkey. Now, of course, the game would be a piece of piss if you could just sneak around and kill everyone on the map with no chance of fucking it up. So to stop you acting like John McClane with a pack of Viagra and making everyone die hard, Overclock added two main balancing features. One effective and one mildly annoying. Those two features are pager limits and cleaner costs. We will start with the former because never before have I simultaneously hated and appreciated any single game mechanic so much. Basically, every time you smack or cap a guard, you will have a 7-second window to interact with them and answer a pager. Failing to answer the pager in time, or stopping the 10-second interaction before it's done, will cause an instant alarm. No matter how many players or guards there are, or what difficulty you're playing on, you only ever get 4 pagers. The game will try and let you answer the 5th one, but it's an instant alarm either way. 4 pagers max, 4 players max. I fucking hope your parents taught you how to share. As much as they can be a pain in the arse at times, pagers are honestly a perfect way to limit the number of guards that can be removed from play in a way that makes sense, provided you don't think about it too long. They add a need for proper planning, and for sudden impromptu changes to said plan when your friend panic shoots someone that has detected him because he's got the spatial awareness of an epileptic at a strobe party. Oh hey man, have you seen Steve?
Well, I think he's outside of the
Well, why would he be out on the... Oh, no. I said don't animate this bit. No. Stop. Is this funny to you? Do you find this funny? Pages are integral to the design of this game, and I genuinely struggle to think of complaints about them that aren't just me being salty. That being said, when taking a guard hostage, there shouldn't be a pager call. Not only does it not make sense, I get when you shoot them a guard falling over is supposed to set off the pager, but what about this sets off the pager? Besides that, choosing to take a guard hostage is already choosing to put yourself at a disadvantage. You can't move a guard when they're a hostage, they just sit there for the rest of the game. Why does having to deal with and plan around this have the same penalty as me making a guard do an impression of Madeleine McCann? The other feature I mentioned previously, which is designed to stop you from going all Jeffrey Dahmer on the civilians, is cleaner costs.
A professional doesn't need to kill those people,
Shut the fuck up. I am professional. These are a financial deterrent, with the money being taken directly from the pre-existing cash of whoever decided to redecorate the room with blood. And while this might be worrying when you first start out, this punishment quickly becomes pretty pointless. Sure, it's never nice to see a big minus cash amount appear on your screen, but the cost of murder depends on the difficulty you're playing at, and it's honestly pretty pathetic when compared with the payouts of finishing most of these missions. Not to mention, there are a lot of times when killing civilians makes your life so much easier, it's basically a non-brainer. The only real downside is that the money is taken even if you fail to restart the mission. But really, it is more of a mild annoyance than an actual deterrent. The feature itself isn't a bad idea, it's just very poorly implemented. It would have to be 7 to 8 times its current cost to even give me a second's thought before capping bank managers. And even then, by endgame, most players have more cash than Jeff Bezos and often started to understand his moral viewpoint. Anyway, let's talk about guns. Payday 2 has a lot of guns, most of which I've never fucking used if we're being honest. You see, the side effect of having this amount of choice is that some of the guns are objectively better than others, giving you little to no reason to even try out 75% of the weapons that are available. I mean, you can try and counteract a gun's weaknesses with the awesome customization system, but in most cases it's hardly worth the effort, as the attachments could be used to make an already good gun even better. I would like to talk about how the gunplay feels in general, but it varies so much and so heavily, I honestly don't know what to say. While I love the gunplay with the weapons I use regularly, half of these guns control so badly they're about as effective in combat as a fat kid on a sugar rush. So surprisingly effective at close range, but that's about it. The guns that are worth using are really fun to use. Control great, they feel satisfying. I just struggle to get over how much of a waste it is to have so many of these guns be basically unusable, either due to their awful handling, I mean seriously look at the recoil on this shit, or due to their crappy stats. While this isn't that big of an issue at lower levels of difficulty, the higher the difficulty you play at, the more restricted your weapon pool gets. I just wish instead of throwing more and more guns into the game, they'd spend some time balancing the ones that are already there, but I guess that doesn't sell more DLCs, does it, Overkill? Speaking of DLCs, there's currently 60 pieces of paid DLC available for this game, mostly character, weapon and map packs. Fucking 60. Fucking 60. Right, this video is getting quite long and it's already taken me a lot longer to make than I originally planned. If there's anything I haven't mentioned here, and I'm aware there is a lot, it's either because I'm indifferent towards it or I have no real complaints, or more likely I just forgot. As much as I have issues with this game, I have issues with every fucking game, so it's kind of a moot point. Payday 2 isn't perfect, but my god is it fun to play with friends. If you've got a few mates and you like stealth games, I highly recommend you pick this up when it's on sale. Just forget the DLC exists and have a good time. Thank you for watching.